do it for you.
Baby, don't forget the floor is yours. Yeah, baby, I mean the floor is yours. If it come down to the floor is yours, let me show you how I prove the floor is yours. 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 The floor, yeah, the floor is yours.
Now it's my turn to tell you.
What's up, y'all? Gerard tricked me because I was gonna be like, "Oh, what's up?" You know how I talked before he played the video, and I was like, "What?"
Right.
And then the video came on. He gonna have me looking crazy on the screen. Somebody gonna share me as a meme. I'm so offended.
Oh, baby, that's too funny.
Yeah, so we back for another Sunday show. I'm so glad to see y'all.
Always, man. Ain't nothing like it. Ain't nothing like it.
Yes. So we finna talk about some super important stuff that's probably gonna have y'all cracking up a little bit, but it's relevant. It is relevant to a whole lot of people. So we about to get into it. We finna have some fun with it. We might share a couple of stories. If you get talked about on today's session, don't be offended. It's okay.
I'm gonna try to tell mine without a name on there.
But they gonna know who they are, and then people be sensitive and stuff, so they gonna text you and be like, "Was you talking about me?" Like it's gonna be a whole thing.
Hey, it's gonna be a friend of mine. A friend told me about her. That's how I'm gonna do mine.
Yeah, but they gonna know who they are.
Yeah,
ain't no questions about it. So we finna get into this thing, y'all. We talking about struggle love today. That old struggle love. So I think Gerard got us a video that's gonna kick it off and set the whole mood. But
No, we don't have the video.
You ain't got it? Oh,
no,
I missed it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, before we get into it though, we gotta say,
you sure you missed it or he didn't tell you?
Yeah, I think he didn't tell me. Because I just heard him listening to it. So I think that I missed it.
Yeah, remember we said it wasn't appropriate.
I told you to pause it before it got to that part. But anyway, we finna get in here, y'all. As always, make sure that you share the show. Share it with all your friends. Share it in all them groups you in. Get everybody talking about it. Everybody buzzing about it. The floor is yours. So we want to hear what y'all got to say. We want y'all to interact with us today. Put it on all the platforms. Y'all can always get in touch with us in all the places. YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, everywhere that you go. So make sure you follow The Floor is Yours. Click that little thumbs up. Click the bell so you can get the notifications to tell you that we in this thing. And I think that was all I was supposed to say at the beginning.
That was it, man. Like clockwork.
Yes. So let's get started. Let's talk about this thing.
Yeah.
So I see you want to tell us what struggle love is.
Girl, when you struggling with love, you just
put it simple then. Make a point.
It's self-explanatory.
It's self-explanatory, that's that ride or die chick, or to the end, and you're struggling, y'all know it ain't really working, but you're just staying. I don't know if that's for you because you got kids together, because you feel like you want to make it. And I heard a saying, or I was looking at something, was talking about if you struggle with me, then we're gonna make it to the top or whatever. That depends on what the struggle is. I'm just saying, you got to really define it. But we know what struggle love is, holding on too long when you you should just say, hey, this ain't gonna work. All right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and a lot of that you was talking about is that normalized dysfunction, where people say, hey, nobody's perfect, no relationship is perfect, which is true. And we don't want to advocate for everybody just breaking it off just because things not going right. But at some point, like there's some stuff in my mind I'm not dealing with, right? I'm talking about like some just the bare minimum type stuff that I think should be a part of just basic relationship. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not telling people to stay together or not, but some stuff in my mind that we shouldn't be dealing with. Yeah.
And as we were like the videos and stuff that we kind of looked at leading into this, to me, it sounded like the guy that they was describing off of No Scrubs that TLC now was singing about when they was like, so what struggle love and what type of person? So they was talking about like a man that ain't got no job, he driving your car type, Jody my Jody type love. Yeah. This is what they was putting out here. Now I will say that it ain't just men that are the toxic person in these struggle of relationships. Women can absolutely be toxic as well. I ain't dated no woman, so I can't tell you what the women be doing in relationship wise. However, I done seen some women that just out moving around that I was like, oh girl, you ain't worth a quarter.
Yeah.
And so I know that it is women out there. I know that it is women that go into stuff just to get what they can get out of it. And I call women or men leeches. Y'all here just to drain somebody or what they got and then move on to your next victim. So that's what that struggle of is, that person that is not pouring into you like you pouring into them.
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to be talking about today. And then just some things that maybe you can do on the other side of the struggle of relationship to kind of get away from that. Because a lot of times it's a pattern and we see it like over and over again. And sometimes we get to thinking, oh, it's us. It must be me because I keep getting into these type of relationships. I keep being with these type of men. And it absolutely can be something that you are attracted to. Because I'll say for me, one thing that I have noticed just looking back, I be dating dudes that got mama issues. And I don't know what that is all about. Sometimes I don't know they got mama issues before I start dating them, but I have seen that quite often. Oh, we was talking to who we talking to? I see.
I was about to phone my phone friend.
But we see it. Yeah. It might not be that you just have issues in picking your person, but hell, they might be seeking out people like you that can pour into them, that can heal them, that can be there to be something that they need to be. And they see that you had a good heart and you want to help people out. So, oh, here go my next victim that I'm finna attach to and I'm finna be with. So
and you dead on with it, right? Especially if you look at this age, we're doing a lot of internet dating. And you know, people put on their strengths, their passions, you know, what they're good at, what they like to do, or whatever. And so a lot of times, you know, if you're going to put your profile, you know, you're going to put your best foot forward on there. I'd say you just really setting it up for anybody to know how to come at you, you know. So my thing is, I talked to a couple people before about when you look at it like a market, like what market are you looking in that attracts these type of men or women? And if you think of it from that standpoint, I think it is a lot of self-responsibility and accountability. It starts with self. Why, not just why am I attracting, but why am I comfortable in that market of these type of people? And I think if you look at it that way, you have to start with self.
Yes.
Because you know what I said last week. If I see therapeutic on you,
you pass.
I'm not your man.
But and that's the thing, right? So you get people, everybody's has been through something in their life. So when they come to you and they're leading with their issues, I think you need to really take heed to that. Hey, I've been through a lot. I just want a woman who's going to be down with me, or a man who's going to be down with me and give me grace and not, you know, bail on the first sign of trouble. I think if you're leading with those type of issues and those conversations, man, that's some healing that still needs to be done. And more times than not, they're about to latch on to you and look for you to be their healer.
And I mean, I've had that. And I've never really looked at it like, oh, that's a bad thing. I've been like, oh, this person is transparent in whatever they have going on. But then the other part of me, I put it in here like, okay, I heard you and I know these things and these things that you have going on. But then I start looking for signs, like red flags, that those things aren't healed, because a lot of times we see them red flags and we just be ignoring the hell out of some red flags. Like, and I feel like we get so many warnings. It's like, bump your head a little bit, bump your head a little bit, bump your head a little bit, then boom, I got a concussion. I done busted my head open to the white meat because I ain't listened to them little bumps along the way. And so in my older age, I done got to where I kind of run from it. Like when I see too many red flags, I'm like, I don't want to do that. Let me cut this off early on, because I will say for me, with struggle of not so much of the ride or die mentality. And we talked about this. I wish we had that video when she said she done rolled and died. She done rolled and died. She done rolled and died, but she's still single. I don't sing that part in the songs because I don't want to die. So I don't want to sing that when it be coming to that part of the songs. However, I ride too long. I will stay in something for an extended period of time, and then I feel vested. It's like working toward retirement. And it's like I done been in this thing for so long. So now I feel like I need to stay in it because I done invested all these years to it. I'm gonna get my return back. And so I think that we get into long-term issues like that because of being vested and not wanting to pull back from it because we done put so much time.
Yeah, and that's a good point. And my thought about that is dating is different now. If you got people who matured and they, have set themselves up to be value added to a relationship, that's the mindset. Miss Cookie, just what you said. But then when you latch on to people, they're gonna figure that out early, and they can hide their shortcomings for a number of years or whatever. And here's the thing: if we're going all in the beginning, because some people say they love hard or they're hopeless romantics or whatever, and you open yourself up for the possibility that you can be hurt or taken advantage of by someone that's not being totally open and transparent about what their challenges are. And that's why I say if you're leading with these issues, like it's a no for me. It's a no for me. There's a lot of other important stuff in the relationship that I think should be at the forefront of our discussion if we're talking. And if you're talking about that, you're not over it. That's my mindset. So nah.
Yes.
So we got this comment from Miss Cookie. From Mia Nicole. Yeah.
Cookie.
I see you want to read this and then respond.
Mia says, I'm responsible for my own healing journey and not looking towards things, people, or places to do the work for me. That's what I'm learning about myself. Mia, I could give you a high five, honey. Because when we begin to look for people to heal us, are they healing us, or is it a codependency, right? And I had to learn that I was codependent when it came to if getting involved with men that have issues and all this. What is the codependency for me? Even if it wasn't the mommy issues that he was dealing with, it had to be the fact that I lacked the quality of life from the man that should have given it to me first, which was my father. So when I looked at it, now you have a codependency because there's something that internally that I needed as well. Looking at it from this place, I can get over here. Or was I codependent on the fact that I've watched my mother be this nurturing woman in relationships, and this is what I thought it looked like. So in the end, I had to learn that it was personal rehab that I had to deal with, not pointing the finger over at the other person. But that doesn't, I'm not exempting them from what they bring in their red flags. But I had to look at myself. Like you said, what attracts these people to me? What is it that I exude, that I give out, that makes them draw to me? And if we keep leading with that indirectly, if I'm always tending to your emotional needs or mental thoughts even on the dating process, I'm already giving you the assumption, or you're gravitating towards me knowing that, she gonna nurture me, she gonna tend to me and all of that.
And you bring up a good point, because it's not always somebody healed locked in with somebody that's damaged or broken. Sometimes you got two broken people, and I'm not saying that was your story, but sometimes you got two broken people who that's all they know. And that's what they've experienced, what they witnessed from their parents or their environment. So to go in there and, fight and curse and, be deceptive and neglectful and all this other stuff, it's like normal. And then you just get this cycle, what we talked about before, where these people break up to make up and break up and make up over and over again. Next thing you know, you're 2-3 kids in, co-sign on cars and, rent or mortgage and all this stuff. And now, to what Cookie said earlier, now you vested. And it's like, man, I don't want to give up, because now that's going to be an embarrassment. I got to go and explain to folks that I didn't showed off to Facebook on, look at my trips, look at these nice dinners, and all along, this relationship is dead, So again, just want to point out that it's not always somebody healthy latched on to somebody that's unhealthy. It could be two damaged people that just normalize that dysfunction, and that's how they go about business.
Mm-hmm.
And I like what you mentioned about, like, when you see people on Facebook, they're showing these pictures. I feel like a lot of signs too are when you see people that you know that are married in relationships. Now, sometimes we say we just private people. Sometimes that private mean I got some flaws over here in this relationship that I don't really want y'all to see. So I'm just gonna put on this save face and not really present it out there. But then you struggle, you struggling, to even when people see you together, even if they don't see a picture on Facebook, people can think you look so good together. But then when you actually on a picture, let's say that, but then if you actually see them in person, we actually get to see really what you're struggling with. We see the struggle love in person because demeanors and personalities when you out in public together, they give away more than you would ever think on a picture. And then of course, people gonna do their little pillow talk about how they think or what they think, but at the same time, they got their own things going on behind closed doors. So you got some people that are openly expressive about their things in a way to help people, and then some of it is just some crazy stuff, but we just want y'all to see us act a fool on the social media. But sometimes there is a cry for help indirectly, and even so, when those are crying for help to help with this struggle love, we want to beat them down like, oh, they stupid and all this different stuff. So yeah, it's a struggle in friendship. So this ain't just relationships with a man or a woman. This with your homeboys and your homegirl, because some of y'all been struggling for so long with friendships, baby. Y'all just need to say the hell with it. I'm just saying, I don't hate. But baby, we definitely have not grown in the same areas, and we may be on the road, but we in different directions, and that's cool. But let's just keep it real that this just ain't working.
And I think that people scared to cut off friendships the same exact way. Like, oh, I've been friends with her since middle school. Well, she ain't been a good friend since middle school. So just because y'all been in it for a long time, don't make y'all good friends. Yeah. Or the other thing I've seen a lot of times is people surrounding themselves with yes men. Like sometimes people really be jacked up people, like they are this toxic person in this struggle of, but then they surround themselves with people that tell them that it's okay. And so I've seen that it, like personally, I've seen that happen, and somebody would do something so crazy and so outrageous, and then they friends just be like, dang man, for real? Like no. Like you need to tell him that was stupid of him to do. Like get you some good friends that will call you on your shit, and I always be like, where your grown friends at? The one, not the grown stupid ones, the grown wise ones. They got something positive to add to it, or they don't say nothing at all. And so then you go through this cycle of everything that you do, you pouring it out to them, they sitting and listening, but they ain't never telling you that you wrong. Because all of my real friends, we've had times where we didn't agree about something, like where we had differences in opinions about things. Now, we ain't been out here fighting in these streets, fighting each other and dragging each other's name through the mud and all that stuff, but we can think differently. We can have different opinions. And it's been times when I've done things or said things and they was like, you know, you ain't right. Like, don't do that. Don't be that way. And I think that we need to surround ourselves with people that'll call us on it when we're doing something like that.
And not only that, it ain't just that they won't call them out. Sometimes they think like them. They think it's okay. That's that normalized dysfunction. So, whether it's physical fighting or, hey, he stepped out, so I'm going to step out too, whatever it is. It's just, again, just that ongoing cycle of just dysfunction. But we got another comment from Mia. Ms. Cookie, you want to take this one?
Yes. ROIs. What is ROIs?
Return on investment.
Red. I was
like, what am I talking about? Okay, return on investments in relationships or friendships should be a two-way street. I'm at the place where I'm not waiting until I can cash out at 59 to see what the return on my investment from my Roth or IRA account. Yes. Because you might not even make 59. Like at this point in life, you have to live where you are. You have to address things where they are. You can't always be waiting on things to change and to update. So I fully agree. And I will put this out here. I don't even think this is just in dating. This be in marriages sometimes too. This is not just, it's not just in the dating arena. It's not just in the friend arena. It's somewhere everywhere that we can be addressing things like this.
Yeah, it do jump over there into the marriage, because sometimes, people thinking we get married, that must mean that we're going to be okay, and those unaddressed issues is just going to amplify after a while. So you're right. Just because you get married, it's not going to make the trouble go away. But I want to go back to what we talked about earlier too. When I see
let me throw this line in there, because if they get to telling you, or at least if we even, at least if we together, we may still be fighting, but we'll still be in the house together. That struggle love, that ain't what you need. There's no way you should say we gonna be married and we may fight. As long as we in the house, we'll just be fine together. No,
that's that Betty Wright love. Baby said a piece of man was better than no man at all. I don't want that piece.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell Betty just to keep it.
I need a whole man. I don't want that piece of man.
Yeah, but part of the issue is we get in these relationships and we stop growing. And I made this comment before. What's his name? Furious from the Culture Podcast. Mm-hmm. He said this. He said everything with life grows. He said, but if it don't grow, it's because it's dead. And the thing is, we get in these relationships and we get complacent. We're not growing, so you really operating on yesterday information. We're growing people. Our circumstances change. Our situations change, jobs, families, and all that. And if we're still going off old information, I mean, we just send ourselves up for failure. One of my good friends, he told me this when him and his wife was going through their divorce. And I remember we was in this group and they asked him like, what was wrong? And he said that she kept growing and I didn't. And like, that was one of the realest statements I ever heard from him. And that's what a lot of times what happened is one person is growing and the other one is not. And if that's the case, you're conflicting. But, you if you're staying in that relationship, you're going to end up, who knows?
Depleted. You're going to end up depleted.
Yeah. Speak up.
And your flower ain't going to bud, girl. It's going to...
And that was one of the things they said in that video was like, if a flower isn't growing in its environment, you don't change the flower, you change the environment. So that is absolutely correct.
Yeah. This comment said, I've always said people too busy falling in love instead of growing in love. And you're right. That's the whole thing, man. It's an ongoing thing. And if not, again, you make yourself irrelevant. So it's just about it.
And some of y'all, in order to get there, you might need to take a trip to Paris. I don't know. You may find that growing in love better on that
Paris,
bridge
Texas,
over there.
Or Paris, France?
No, you see my little Paris symbol. I pulled that out.
The real Paris. Yeah. The real Paris.
To Paris.
Yeah. So let's do a commercial. And then after we come back from the commercial, we'll switch topics and keep the show going.
Commercial break.
Your success ain't gonna happen overnight. It may take a year, it may take 2 years, it may even take 10 years. For some people, it might take even longer than that. But one thing I do know, as long as you keep fighting and staying consistent, you will make it. Look in the mirror and ask yourself, are you gonna make it?
Creed. Step in that water, step in that water, step in that water. Yeah. You gotta be willing to go out and get it. You gotta dive in it, go and get it. Step in that water, step in that water, step in that water. Yeah.
Step in that water, step in that water.
Turn up.
So y'all know the deal. Hit the homie Miracle up if you're in the Dallas area for your haircuts. If you got your beard game, you get that right. Go see him for that too. And he got the merchandise. So yeah, look him up.
You got all of the above. You want to spit shine on your bald head? Get there.
So one thing we talked about on a few other shows is like the causes of this behavior. And one common one in my mind is low self-esteem. We kind of briefly mentioned it earlier, but if you know in your heart of hearts that you deserve better, I feel like that you're not going to stay in a toxic situation like that. What do y'all think? You think it's low self-esteem that you can attribute it to?
I think that
of staying in the struggle of
make you stay there.
I just feel like sometimes they say because you don't want to start over. There has to be something dealing with abandonment issues. You feel like you're being abandoned again. There's got to be something internal that you're dealing with that causes you to be there. And like I said, sometimes kids are attached to it. But if you don't have children that are involved in it, it has to be something within yourself that you haven't relinquished or faced that allows you to feel like you just gonna settle for that. And I just feel like that's the settling place. and you'll never be happy. You'll just be sitting there dealing with everything.
And I just pulled up the definition. It says low self-esteem refers to a person having an overall poor sense of self-value. It essentially means having a poor opinion of yourself. And I'm just thinking, like, if you're actually linked up to toxic, I'm not talking about people that just learn some bad behaviors that they can unlearn and they're trying to grow. We just went through some bad times. I'm talking about the worst of the worst. And you hear year after year, in this relationship. And I mean, it's literally, in some senses, costing people their lives.
And so for me, I don't know if I necessarily classify it as they must have a low self-esteem, because I've been in a struggle of relationship and I don't feel like I have low self-esteem, not by the definition of it anyway. Like, I know my worth. I know that, hey, I can have more, I can do more, I can get more. But like I see said, sometimes it's just that commitment. I've been here for this long. I've been doing this thing for this long. And what I will say in struggle of, while it might be those red flags, it usually ain't just out in the open and blatant, like when you first get in it, that, oh, I'm just a scrub. That's usually not just put out there at the very beginning. So it's something that you kind of learn over time. But another part of me was just, I didn't want to be alone. Like, let me just say that it's Texarkana. So sometimes it is hard to find somebody to date in Texarkana. So like, if I'm thinking, oh, if I break up in this relationship, now I don't have no relationship, I don't got nobody to go on dates with, you phoning a friend again. I ain't got nobody to talk to. I get bored today. I want somebody to text. I ain't got nobody to text with. So like, for me, it was a lonely thing. I don't want to go sit out to eat by myself. And so those parts of it were really hard for me, but I always felt like I loved and valued myself. It wasn't that I felt like I didn't have self-worth or anything like that.
So what about now then, if you were in a relationship that was toxic, now that you matured and what, would you, because you're in Texarkana, would you consider dating outside the city?
Outside of Texarkana? Yes. Because
would you consider dating? I better not ask you that question, because mine would be yes. Would you consider dating another race?
I ain't there yet. And I'm okay with it. I'm not gonna say this.
Well, I'm gonna be real on the podcast, because the floor is yours. I have considered it, and it is a big consideration. And that's nothing against men. Whatever's gonna work for me, it's gonna work. That's all I'm letting y'all know. So say what you want to, put your emojis up. It's good. I just feel like we've been taught to stay in our culture. I'm not.
I think it depends on what you're attracted to. If you're not attracted to it, then
I'm just saying whatever works for people. That's what I'm saying, because so many times we teach our children to stay in that bracket, and the minute they get outside of that barrier, sometimes we do have this little tender spot. I just long as mine are loved correctly. That's all I'm saying. So then I was reading some of the comments over here, like I think Tyrone was just saying sometimes people are afraid that they won't find anybody better than what he said, thinking that they can't find anyone better. That was a really good one.
Let's go with this one right here. Let somebody read this one.
Okay. Let me scroll down, because it's blocked off on yours. It says you have to be careful of people who always have the victim mindset. Nothing is never their fault. They only act that way because someone did something to them. No accountability. True.
That's heavy. That victim mindset is one that is prevalent, if you will. It's a lot of people. Make sure you saw. I showed you this meme the other day, where the two people were sitting up and conversing with each other, and the girl was saying, "I deserve better. I want you to change so this relationship could be better." And he said, "I'll change. Right. Are you willing to change too?" She's like, "You know what? If you're not going to take me for who I am, this relationship is over." And while they might not say it that way, that's a lot and a lot of people's mindset. If this relationship is broke, it's because you need to do better. You need to grow and you need to do something.
And I've had that conversation. Like, I've had somebody to tell me, like, they go through a whole list of things that's like wrong as far as things that I'm doing. So I'm like, all right, so what you doing? Like, because I do feel like sometimes we need to self-check before we get to talking about somebody else and what they're doing. And when I asked him, he couldn't tell me anything that he had did wrong. Like, sir, I got a whole notebook over here that I can fill up with stuff that I know was completely out of line, but he couldn't tell me that. So, and then previously I've asked, because I've had the conversation, I feel like you don't have no accountability. So I had asked him, like, so tell me some things that you've done wrong, because it was something that he wanted to keep highlighting and talking about with me. And so I was like, okay, well, tell me some things you had done wrong. I ain't did nothing wrong. I don't do nothing wrong. And so I was like, nothing, like you can't pick nothing, not one thing. And so he went back to this story when he was 10 years old, and his grandmother told him to go get a watermelon from the neighbor's garden, and he didn't pay for it. He like stole the watermelon when he was 10. He is 40 now. So what? So for the last 30 years, you ain't did nothing wrong at all. But he didn't see that, like not taking accountability. And outside looking in, it was so obvious. But again, he's been surrounded his entire life by people that have told him everything he's doing is okay. So he's been groomed to think, I don't have to say I'm doing anything wrong.
Yeah. And that's horrible, you know, and it's not an easy thing to do. I just think about my years in the military. They teach that self-reflection thing. So it's something that I was able to develop and become, you know, better than average at. But it's not a easy thing to do, if you will. But no one is dumb. You know, he knew that he had some flaws, but he wasn't going to tell them to you and give you, in his mind, arm you with information to hold him accountable about. Because now if I'm admitting that something is wrong, now why am I not correcting that?
And see, I think that some people and I guess I beg to differ, because I think that some people really think that they have not done anything wrong. Like, I think that it's people almost like a mental illness. There are people that really believe, no, I didn't do nothing wrong in that situation.
Yeah.
Like they can punch you in the face, and when you punch them back, the problem is that you punch them back. Like, but I punched you because you were talking to me this way.
Yeah, and I think my issue with it is that when challenged, like they won't openly admit some of the wrong that they done. So that lets me know that they're conscious of it. Now, why they try to manipulate, you know, what's that old Shaggy song? It wasn't me. I caught you in the shower. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. Yeah. And some people really got that mentality, like they're gonna take it to the grave as if you're not sitting there witnessing them with this bad behavior. But here's another one right here from Facebook user.
People think starting over is a bad thing.
People think starting new, but with knowledge. Yeah, go ahead. It's a delay.
People think starting over is a bad thing. Starting over is starting new, but with knowledge. Each relationship should teach you more about you and what you are looking for. You should be getting wiser. Amen.
That'll preach. And that go back into when I think I see was talking about growing, or somebody said something about growing, just growing in your relationships. I feel like keep growing. Like don't feel obligated to not grow and to just stay the same in the things that you are doing. So yes.
Let's hit this other comment by Tyrone.
I loved it.
Some married couples stay together because they're chasing the we've been together 10, 20 years title. They may want to mimic their parents' legacy. And sometimes that generational stuff, they weren't doing right back then. That's why it's all these outside kids and cousins that we ain't having no contact with. So, yes. And that's been me. I've been in this for a long time. I've been doing this for a long time. So I don't want to give that up. And it ain't necessarily a title, but it's just like, I feel like I put so much time into building this thing. Another flaw that I've had is I'm competitive. So I'm like, I ain't finna let the next person get all this good work that I done put over here into this situation. It's like building a house from the ground up, and then I done got everything done except for it's decorated, and then you need to come in here and live. I ain't feeling it. I'm not doing it.
That joker has some bad studs and some foundational issues still. You might have covered them up. So
the plumbing done bust out the walls.
Right. And the part too about the, want to mimic the parents, what they fail to realize, even if you show them you've been together 10 to 20 years, what dysfunction was along the way. How many times they see daddy come in late or mama got, was doing whatever, or y'all sleeping in separate bedrooms. So even if you do the 20 years and you got this legacy per se, what other things came around with that? Because one thing about it, children are only, when we're younger, all we are is little human recorders. We're recording everything that we have seen run across our path through our little ears, and then we either speak it out or we act it out. And then when we get to acting it out in an adult form or preteen stage, because it starts a little bit early, and then we get talking about what you doing that for, and then all of a sudden, if they was to pop back and say, well, I saw you, then all of a sudden now we're going to tell them to shut up and don't do that. But the truth of the matter is, we are teaching them, we're either influencing them or impacting them. Once again, all this goes back to passing on stuff that shouldn't be, when we should just say we need to do what's best for the children. Don't stay in this. Let them see us healthy for the next 10 years, just being parents, even though we're not together.
Hey, so here's from Mia when you was talking about when you date outside the race. She said Brad, Brody, Pedro, Felipe, John. So here's from Sharon. Appreciate this comment. She said, you sometimes stay because you're loyal to a fault. Man, that's good. You also want to keep your commitment to be there through the good and the bad. Man, those good old vows right there. Yeah. And and look at, and I think I was talking to someone, my homeboy yesterday, about how we confuse the covenant with the marriage. And we'll look at the marriage and like that's supreme, but forget that the covenant is the loyalty, the grace, the forbearance, the patience, all the other stuff that make up the relationship. That marriage in here is really just a contract to say like, hey, legally, you speak on my behalf. If we got property and all this stuff right there, if we're honest about it, that covenant is already been broken. If once the relationship is sour. So that's the way I look at it. Here's another one. She said, also, you can throw the rock and hide your hand. Man, push folks to the limit and expect them not to bite back. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you want to hit that one, Miss Cookie?
I mean, I agree. And that's that manipulation that we see a lot of times, because some of these people been doing it for a long time with a lot of different victims. So they learn, just like you're supposed to be learning how to grow in your relationship and how to be better in your relationship. Some people are learning all the bad things and how to do those things better. Yeah. They perfect their craft.
Yeah.
So the last time around I did this thing and then the person broke up with me. So next time I know to do it a little bit different this way. And so they make you feel like you're the crazy person. When we was on there talking about the narcissists and how they would do things, this fall perfectly into that category where they just play the role and do the thing so that the bad part can be you. Like I'm poking. And then when that bear come out, oh my God, look what she's doing. Look what he's doing. So yeah.
You're the bad person now. Mm-hmm. I like this right here this is reference to your home buying.
Yes.
Company. She said, but Miss Cookie, that's when you sell the home. Take the equity, and build up.
Come on, mansion. It's on the way. My mansion with my 40 acres. Let's go.
Yeah. But yeah, man, so we always coming to quitting time. I know I see we usually ping you for inspiring love note. You have something for us?
Baby, because I just don't want y'all to struggle. If you gotta struggle, and you giving, when you giving all that you can and put forth the effort in a relationship, I don't want you to feel bound to stay because of what people have told you in the church, how society has laid it out, your family. If you've done all that you can do, and it's better for you all to go your separate ways, bow out gracefully. It ain't that you losing. They always say you got to lose to win. No, you got to let go to survive. You got to let go to live. It doesn't matter about even the materialistic things. Hell, if it's the house, take it. I don't give a. I'm just saying. And I'm only talking from my experience. I know what it is to give and to love. And I'm just talking about even when you add children to the equation. But when it's time to let go, even though your heartstrings are going to hurt, and sometimes you get grandchildren that come into these relationships and you got to walk away in order for the dysfunction not to be passed down even to the grandbaby. Now, for them to be able to see, if this is how it's going to be, I will exit in order for you to live healthy. And sometimes I've learned that being, to be able to walk away is really the greatest wealth that you could ever do, because you ain't losing out. You're actually gaining the best part of you that you'll find. You're going to cry. This men do go through this too. So this ain't just a woman part when I'm speaking. You're going to have to release the way it's made you feel, the anger that was built up behind it. Because sometimes in your mind, you already committed the first 48. Is it so? Do you still want to live in this mind, even in your mind and your emotions, being just trying to struggle in something that that there is no life in it, that the soil is not going to be tended to, your seeds are being blown away with the wind or the rain comes too soon and do it, and you can't keep putting that effort, because the next thing you know, not only are you dead mentally, emotionally, across the board, sometimes you die in the struggle, and you die going in the grave, not being able to have peace within yourself. So if you got to be by yourself for a moment, trust me, he or she that's coming for you, they'll be there, but be in a better place for you. If you're going to struggle more to find you. How about that? And if you got it, struggle, or matter of fact, don't even struggle, fight harder for you. Don't struggle with nothing that ain't even fighting to keep y'all together. Fight for you. And at the end of the day, I promise you, when you get the right strength to fortitude the relationship that's coming for you, y'all gonna be all right. You'll be able to talk, have the understanding, know how we gonna find this balance to where we need to be, and we ain't gonna have to, like you said, the struggle ain't gotta be real. We can actually at this point find the peace or the proper rhythm, heartbeat, and the pulse to make this relationship thrive, that there's no flatlining. And if it is, we know how to put the right pressure. I'm gonna stick with that. I love it from last week. I'm gonna stick with the right pressure to put on your heart and the right amount of air to breathe in your lungs, just in case we do find some turbulence, but we ain't gonna struggle with it. We gonna work this thing out healthy.
That's good.
All right.
Yes.
As always, we got a couple other comments to hit right here. Is that why do people think you have to go through bad to get to the good?
Yeah.
What'd you say?
We've been taught that. That's how you've heard things go. Yeah, that's just what we have literally heard that all of our lives, and now that you get to see it on the show in a question format, make a lot of sense.
And you know what? I think when you get questions like this, you got to qualify what that struggle is, what that bad is, because again, if I, my temperament may need to grow, because again, a lot of us, we just learn bad behaviors that with some work, some therapy, and some practice, we can grow. But we're talking about some of the worst behavior that, this right here, like, no, we don't.
I think that may be, like, if I look at that question, it could be when you look at people that cheat and have kids. They still, people say, well, you should fight for your marriage and stay there with them. Okay, well, something came along with this, and everybody, I don't feel like that's your number. Now we want to go scripture. They said that's your easy way out is, adultery, adultery. I'm sorry, not fornication, but adultery. But then some people choose to stay. And even if they do, sometimes you do see the brighter picture, but I'm just like I would look, why did it have to go with you having an outside kid or you stepping outside the house to get us to a better place?
Yeah. Here's another one. She said a self-inventory is best, especially if you find yourself in this situation time and time again. Man, that's good. You only take you with you. You're right. So there again, that self-evaluation. Why do I keep attracting these broken people? And what we said earlier, it's not always a healed person attracting broken people. Sometimes it's two broken people in there, and they just normalize that dysfunction. And man, they, and again, I'm not saying that they don't truly care for each other, but it's a toxic way of living. And then when you got kids involved, you're showing them, and then you got a close-knit family. It affects your family. It affects your job, everything. So it's not just the two of you.
Gerard, you said something like, when people say we look for like the provider and the protector. So when we're taught to look at that way, you might get it financially and all of those things, go to work and all that, but then you have an emotional bankrupt over here because he doesn't know how to talk to you. He doesn't know how to, spend time with you. So you may win over here by getting the load lighting off by having the provision made, but then over here you lack. So then now you have an imbalance in the marriage as well. And so you may be winning one way, and then in the other one you may flatline.
Good point.
Pardon thoughts.
Look, it's been so much y'all done said. First off, when you just said about being bankrupt, like emotionally and those things, I do feel like don't you got to know yourself. And sometimes we get into these cycle of relationships where you out of one and into another one so fast that you don't even know what it is you need or where you're at or what part. Somebody said a self-inventory. What parts of you, Sharon, what parts of you do you need to fix and work in before you can go into that next relationship? So know what you want before you try to dig that out of somebody else. Know what you are willing and not willing to accept before you go into another situation with somebody else. And just don't try to lose yourself being what somebody else wants you to be to fit into their puzzle and their puzzle piece. Because as a relationship, we should be having a puzzle together, not just what one person wants to do. But parting thoughts, I saw 2 quotes that I thought were dope. And one of them said, I thought I needed you until I realized you didn't even deserve me. And so we got to know our worth and know what we bring to the table and know how we want to be treated. And then that second one said, the hardest part of forgiving people is forgiving people who were never sorry. Sometimes you just going to have to take that L and walk away from it, which has been one of my downfalls because I want to know the why. I got to understand why you cutting up and nutting up and acting like this, and how could you treat me like this after all these things? I done been there for you during these times, da-da-da-da-da. And sometimes people just are how they are. So take your L, go on. Mia said, get me a new house, I'm coming. That's where I'm going. So just build from there and grow from there.
All right. I see you got some important thoughts. You're good. I just got two real quick. One, you got to make sure that we're mature enough to maintain the relationship that we want. Sometimes we want the best relationship in, in the best city and the biggest houses and all that. But when I look what people are contributing, to that, who they are themselves, and it's like, man, what are you expecting? And nothing against goals and dreams of wanting the best of the best, but it takes work. You think about some of the best athletes like LeBron. He don't just wake up in the morning and go to the game. This dude has really perfected his craft, with these $1 million contracts, and now he's a billionaire from merchandise and all this stuff right there. And guess what he did? He maintained a clean image his whole year, his whole career. He was with his high school sweetheart. They married, they have kids, and so it takes a lot when you're trying to have the best of the best. And sometimes some of these people are giving you the bare minimum, but want you to show up at your best. And that's unfair. And then the other one is divorce breakups will be embarrassing. I get it. I've been there, done that, and understand it fully. But I promise you, the people that you're worried about showing yourself in front of, they're going to talk. But I promise you, in a day or two, they're going to be on gossiping on about somebody else. So, it will be embarrassing, but to stick there and be in that toxic relationship, day after day, month after month, year after year, you're killing yourself. And hey, go ahead and eat that. I don't advocate for divorce again for anybody just because you want to get divorced, but I'm talking about these worst of worst situations. You got to know that you deserve better.
Yes. Yeah. I think that was great. Great discussion, y'all, as always. And thank y'all, audience, for interacting with us and bringing it out. The floor is yours, talking to us, being on that part. Mia said it's 2023, anything can happen.
Yeah, I know that's right.
Yeah, because she said she had been in timeout, no dates in 2.5 years to reflect herself. And now I know I don't have too much emotional energy to spend. She said, but 2023, anything.
And you just got to get in position sometimes, I remember Pastor gave an analogy about the Joker and the King, Japan cards. And he said sometimes the women so occupied with the Joker that when the King come up, you ain't even got space for him. So you got to clear your life, make room for the blessing that you want. So you got to get in position.
Yeah. And just remember, if you're a queen, girl, he leave you for a pawn. It's okay. He won't work.
Yeah, and if you're a queen, if you wanted that title, act like it. It ain't nothing just to put on a crown and sit and revel in the attention that you're getting. There's some duties and some expectations if you want to carry that title.
Don't be a penny out here looking for a dime.
One little song. Yeah.
All right, y'all. Well, thank y'all for joining us. We had an excellent talk. Don't forget, you can always still go and share this show. If you weren't watching in the beginning, go back and rewatch it and tell everybody to come watch with us. Now, as always, Yeah, y'all might want to send the show to your ex. Okay, you just go on and send it to them because they got some shit they need to learn. But as always,
even if it's accidentally, right?
yeah, no, because we G's, so we stand on what we do. We ain't gonna do nothing and say it was an accident. I did it. I said it.
Maybe she feel like a little cheerleader. You know what you've been saying.
Yes. But for real, y'all, share the show, talk about it. You know, send people, have them tune in because we want to grow. We want to talk to all the people and reach the masses. All right. So thank y'all for joining us. We love y'all. Gerard, you gonna play the outro for us?
Let me do it for you.
Baby, don't forget the floor is yours. Yeah, baby, I mean the floor is yours. If it come down to the floor is yours, let me show you how I prove the floor is yours. The floor is yours.